guys, and welcome back. This is ChosenArchitect. Today we're jumping back into another episode of FTB Skies, and today we're getting down and dirty with some create, well, and some computer craft. Hopefully you guys are ready. So yesterday I was kind of chilling, hanging out in the Discord, in the voice chat, hanging out with everybody, and I was trying to come up with a way that I could make a supporter board that's way better. So at the end of the video, I normally take one of my random subscribers, whether that's via Discord or via Patreon and via YouTube members, and I put them on a side to try and say thanks. Now, it does take a little bit inside of, the gameplay to get to a point where I can upgrade the signs, but this go around, I want to use computer craft. I've used RF tools in the past, but I was hanging out and I was like, you know what? Maybe I should learn a little bit of the computer craft stuff and figure out how to do this. Now, this does require a bit of programming knowledge and also a little bit of knowledge about how Lua works. But I hopped over to ChatGPT, which is an AI chat software that is fantastic for situations like this. So I gave it a couple of prompts and asked it if it can generate some sort of program for computer craft in which it can do, which was pretty crazy. And I asked it if it can make me something that would fit on any size monitor, and I asked it if it can make sure it centers it. And then I also asked it if it can randomize the colors of the names and then also scroll through an easily editable list. And then I just run it. This is what it generates, and I love this. So thank you guys so much for all your amazing support. If you are a supporter, I do thank you. And I'm going to be updating this list as we move on. This is still going to be the random list, not the full list. I do believe Lua can pull from a CSV file if you absolutely have that. But unfortunately, Discord, for some reason, doesn't give a good way to pull off the usernames. I really wish there was an easier way. But for right now, I'm going to go in and I'm going to add all the late names that we have thus far and get them put into this. It's so cool. So there we go. So it's a nice list, as you can see right here. It is set to 10 right now. I can just change a variable and it will increase it to however wide I want it, and will always adjust to the size of the screen. Fantastic little program. And if you're interested in this program, all you gotta do is hop on over to the Discord. I will actually have this whole program in the Discord. Oh yeah, and by the way, it'll be in the general channel in case you were wondering what channel, and it'll be pinned, so check the pins. Now today is gonna be a mismatch of all kinds of automation stuff, but the main focus is definitely gonna be on create. So I want to actually use create, but I want to make it look pretty and out of the way. So we're going to be putting a lot of things in compact machines, but one of the big things that we're going to need to get into create is honestly a lot of wood. So we are going to have to get a little woody here, and to do that, I'm going to just use a photogenic insulator. Now, there's a ton of ways to farm trees, including using create itself, and we could put it in a compact machine, but I was thinking, why not just use the thing I'm already using, part of thermal, right? And this is a really decent way of generating trees. Now, we're going to have to supply this with a little bit of water. So a sink is essentially an infinite water source. So we can use these pipes to hook in. And so long as we determine the side and make this an input for water, we should be able to connect this. Now, let's go ahead and break this again because it seemed like it was, yep, there it goes. Now it's connected. And then on the bottom, we'll use the wrench to specify, and it's a really fast method of transferring. All the stuff from Cyclic is just insanely fast as far as the transfer rate goes. Now we do need to give this power, so let's go ahead and link it, and I have moved this around, and I now have a fresh one over here. So that'll give this power, and all we have to do is use the cables that we already have behind here, which if we break this cable, is already a facaded refined storage cable. So we can tap into this and just bring this refined storage cable up top. And what we can do is we can put saplings into the top, saplings and bone meal actually into the top and into the bottom. And that'll help jumpstart this and speed it up. And over here, we should be able to just export the items out of the back and have that just go into the refined storage system through an exporter. And I'll just put a barrel here that is going to take the stuff, or the drawer. Now I'm actually going to import from the back on this. So all we have to say is import on the back. It's going to put those 2 slots here, and then we'll export from the bottom. So we'll get that set up. So with the upgrade installed in here, it will go significantly faster, but it does cost a little bit more RF. You can see 80 right there. That's going to be the RF amount. And yeah, I mean, for what it is, it's without even adding any augments, that's a decent speed for giving you 6 logs each process. Now, when it comes to create and getting into that mod, I'm going to be going through things incredibly fast this go around. If you want to catch anything that is related to create, I have done several in-depth videos and in-depth mod packs related specifically to create. However, this mod pack, I'm going to be going over the things that are sort of required that you have to get into, and some cool things that you can do with it, such as putting them into compact machines, which is going to take a little bit of preparation and temporary setups to really get things up and running. Now, one of those temporary structures we've kind of seen in the past, it's going to be a cutting board with a wooden hopper from Cyclic on it, and then a barrel on top of that. And then I'm going to put some oak logs in here. And what this allows me to do is quickly strip logs. Like, I mean, it's incredibly fast. Now, later on down the road, I would like to have an automated setup that definitely strips them. But for right now, this is simple. And you can even automate this, by the way, with a dispenser. And you put the axe inside the dispenser and give it a redstone pulse, and it will allow it to do this. So I'm going to need several of these placed down. So with these logs, I can now take some andesite alloy, and we can simply convert them all. So I've got to place all of this down. Another simple way to do this would be to make the, let's see, create wrench. So this should just require some sheets of gold. So this tool is going to be very handy to you, especially for this process that I'm working right here, making andesite casing. Now, of course, we already have the metal press set up, but if you didn't want to use the metal press, you could have gone thermal. But yeah, with the metal press setup, it's very simple. This is probably one of the most mandatory machines that you need to get into Create, and it really does force you into it right away. Also, I'm working on copper plates because we're going to be getting into a boiler very, very soon. So like I said, we have this all set up, right? And so we can convert this and then hold shift. So all you got to do is repeat this over and over again. And look how simple it is to just put this in your offhand and have the wrench, and it insta breaks it and just puts it right in your inventory. Now, getting started with this create stuff, we are going to be using Ars Nouveau. This was one of the main reasons why I got into here. So let's go ahead and get our Starbuncle charm. Now, we can just buy Starbuncles, so this makes it really easy. We don't have to wait for them to spawn and then, you know, throw down some gold nuggets for them to turn into this charm. Instead, we can just buy it off of our villagers. So, with the Starbuncle charm and a water wheel, we can combine the two together and get a Starbuncle wheel. Now, we're also going to need a block of gold. This is important because this will increase its speed that this thing can spin. And yes, this is a part of Create. It is quite fascinating. Now, inside of this compact machine, I've laid out some stuff. This is the maximum size. It requires netherite. We have plenty at this point. I've laid it out and got it ready. And here's a fluid tank. What I want to do is I want to test out both of these and try to combine them. But to power our setup that we're going to be using here, that's going to get us into the steam engine, which if we make the steam engine, it's this right here. Let me grab my gold. I just had this all pressed out. There we go. So yeah, we're going to use it to help power our steam engine. So we're going to set up a very basic steam engine. It just needs a campfire and a few of these ingredients, some cogwheels, and we're also going to need, of course, some shafts and things like that to move our rotational energy around. But other than that, this should be able to provide, I believe it is like 1,000, it's like the equivalent of 5 or 10 water wheels, I believe. I think, yeah, I think the default steam engine with this setup is gonna produce a lot of stress. It's a lot of stress. Let's just be fair. And let's get it set up. First things first, though, let me grab the goggles, right? I think that would be kind of important. Yeah. So engineer's goggles are also very necessary, and they go in your head slot. But I think I have that hat there. I hope I don't forget it. But there we go. We have them in our head slot. We can turn them on. We get these really cool looking goggles. And when you don't have a helmet on, I believe the animation changes and they go on top of your head. It's just super cool. So inside my compact machine, I have laid out a floor because this is going to be the start of our create area. Now, to get this up and running, it's not anything crazy. Let's put this in a corner. Right here will be fine. And then we will place our fluid tanks on top of this. And we're going to need some building blocks. So we can use these as building blocks. They're easy to break. I'm going to be building this vertically, but you can also build this in a 2x2 if you want to conserve space. So I think I've gotten a sort of solution going here. So to get this to go the proper speed, you do have to either use a gear 1 ratio or you ratio up using a cog, doing the similar method where you go from a large cog to a small cog, or you just place a large cog like this up onto the mechanical pump, and that should be enough rotational power to pump the water out fast enough to do a 1x1x1 steam engine. So with this setup, we should be able to place the Starbuncle right here, and then also place our gold right there to get it going nice and fast. That should be more than enough rotational energy. Now we do need to click this to flip it, and then that should be putting water in. Now it's just going to act like a tank until we put the steam engine in. So the steam engine goes in, and now we should be able to see that we have the appropriate size and the appropriate heat for a 1x1x1. Now we are putting in more than enough water for this boiler at the moment, but you can see now it says 2048 stress units for this single steam engine. To fully activate the steam engine, we have to place a shaft, and there we go. We have a steam engine up and going, and it's all inside this compact machine, and we can use this compact machine for many of our little setups. So it's like having all of this in a single block space in our overworld. Now, the thing I want to get set up as soon as possible is brass production. So getting ourselves a blaze burner is going to be necessary, and we also have to find blazes. Now, I'm hoping this works for blazes so we don't have to create any sort of mob farm just yet in the nether. But if you are looking for a quick way to get it, Dreadful Dirt should spawn not only wither skeletons, but blazes in the nether. But we should be able to spawn them in the overworld by making a fell pumpkin. We used this right from the start, and it was a kind of a hint to like say, hey, this is a way that we can generate these. So this should generate a blaze when it's placed on here. And there we go. We have a blaze, and I was able to pick it up immediately. So this is a quick way of getting yourself some blazes. How convenient. Now that I'm back in here, we can rotate the direction that this is going. It's probably going to be better to have it going in this sort of direction. But we are also going to need to gear ratio this up. By default, the best way to do that is by just using some cogs. And so we can place cogs in, and we can get a gear ratio. Actually, it might be better if I have this rotated this way. And then I just put the gear ratio back here. And then I can get some usable speed out of this, right? So this is a usable speed. We can also add some speed up here, and it's going to be up against this wall. What I want to do is get brass going as soon as possible. And to do that, I need a blaze burner. And I don't know exactly where to put this just yet, but a blaze burner needs to go underneath a basin. And then we need to have a mixer on top. And this is going to mix up our brass. Now, to find out if we have enough, let's go ahead and use some coal on this to get it nice and burning and nice and heated. And then we should just toss our zinc and copper in. And that should start making some brass. And yeah, it's spinning fast enough, as you can see. And it's already starting to generate some brass. So if I right click on this, you notice I took everything out. The best thing to do is once you get some brass, to put it on the recipe filter, and then you don't have to worry about it anymore. It should only output, once we have some sort of conveyor belt, it should only output the brass, and it won't output copper or zinc. So once you see the belt is put in, you can see it, it gives this little slot here, and once it's spinning in the right direction, it'll just push the items out. We do need a funnel for it to go into, and then we would just need to hook these in. For right now, I can be very janky with it, and let's just get a bunch of these cogs, because they are already, I think, going to be spinning in the appropriate direction. Yep, and there we go. So we just have the cogs lining the back, and there's all of the brass. So it's going to start up again now that it has room, and it just spits it out and goes right into the barrel. And that's going to be a lot of brass. It's going to last us quite a while. Some other things I'm going to need to get into is, of course, the rose quartz. We're going to need to make a bunch of rose quartz, and if we had a way of eating faster, that'd be really nice. But without doing automation, we're just going to have to take this and use this sandpaper. Thankfully, we can make diamond sandpaper, and we just hold it in our offhand. And it looks like we're consuming this stuff. Gotta love it. Makes some fun noise. And it will give us some polished rose quartz that we're going to need for electron tubes. Now, what I'm trying to get at in this pack is making a couple of things. We need to make precision mechanisms, right? And it looks like it's going to require a bunch of them. Now, to get precision mechanisms, I would like to have something set up maybe in the overworld for them. It requires it right in here, precision mechanism, and it just keeps increasing. There's 32 right there, and I think another one requires 128, and this one probably has more. But yeah, we're going to need precision mechanisms. They're also pretty important for Create and auto processing, and Create has some really powerful stuff it can do. So yes, grinding up more of this is going to be useful, but I want to get into crafters. Now, currently I'm setting up the crafter that we're going to be using here in a minute. We still have to get that precision mechanism in order for this to work. But I think this is almost done. As you can see, we do have enough. I think it's requires what, 24 or so of these put together. But you do have to make sure that wherever it's going to send the item, right, that make sure everything is turned into this. So I like to have everything go to the center. You don't have to. You can set everything to go straight down. But I like to set everything to sort of go in this direction and then meet in the middle. And then everything sort of flows down that single line. And I think that looks kind of cool. So sort of like this. If it's the other way around, it'd be rounded, it'd be the same way. But all we have to do is get some stress to start spinning this. And this will be pretty much ready to go. So back at the base, I now have all of my brass sheets. I tore this down because I actually want to set up the precision mechanism thing here. Now we're going to be using starbuckles for right now to get the thing up and running slow. But I want the precision mechanism to sort of be on display, and it's going to easily fit into this room. Now we need these brass sheets in order to make the deployers. And we can see that right here as a part of the sequence assembly. It only has to go through 5 times, but there is an 80% chance of completion. The other stuff will generate random scrap, which we don't really want. So it's not 100%, and there is some waste there, a 20% chance of waste. Wandering Trader just popped up and is offering a slabfish statue. I'll take it. I'll take all the statues, no big deal. Oh my goodness. Now, for this to work, we're going to be utilizing an item vault. This is a mass storage, sort of, a mass storage in sort of this multi-block that you can set up. We're just going to be using 3 of them, and make sure you place them in a line like this so they do that. But this can turn into like a 2x2, it can turn into a 3x3, and then it can turn into a 5x5, and then can go links, which is pretty cool. But 3 is about as far as this particular thing goes. Now, I kind of want to have this facing the front. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have this be right here. And this is actually where we're going to control most of our setup. And we're going to utilize a belt. So a belt is going to go right here in front of this. And we're going to be using brass funnels to control what goes in and what comes out. And so we also should be able to pull off of here very simply. So let's go ahead and get our belt set up. The belt is going to go right here. And then we know all of our deployers need to go right on top. So there's our deployers, and then right here is our item vault. And now we need the items to go in a rotation. So let's just assume that we'll put the items right here in, and then that's going to then output over onto this side. So we need a rotation that is going to be going in this direction. We can control that with our starbuncle, no big deal. The items going into this vault and then coming out, we know that the items are going to come out of this side. So let's go ahead and define that with a brass funnel. Actually, the items that are coming out aren't as important, but we can go ahead and define that with a brass funnel. And we need to change this direction. So this arrow is really important. This means it's going to be pulling out of the vault, and this means it'll put the items in. And they can be overlapping with your deployers. It will not interfere, which is another useful thing. So over here, we want this to be the input. Now, how I plan on handling the items going in and out is going to be as simple as just having the conveyor belts right here. Now, ignore the fact that there's items back here, and we can always expand this vault into a 2x2 up top. So when it comes to getting our power routed around, it'll be super simple. We can just hook it down here. So we're going to have the items going out of here, and this can just be an andesite. This is no big deal. And same going into here. We're just fine with an andesite funnel pulling the items in. Now, to prevent items from overflowing, you can always put a block on the back here, and that will prevent the items, or you can use a trapdoor. I do like a trapdoor on the back. And that'll prevent the items from sliding off if this ever does become full, if you put too much in. But I don't think that's going to be a problem. And then out the output, this is going to be a little bit more complicated because what we have to do is have a brass funnel here. And this brass funnel needs to be probably put on after we get this setup going. And it's because we need to apply a filter. I guess actually I can show you an easy way to set up a filter beforehand. So if you're looking to set up a filter beforehand, we can just make a filter from the create mod and go in here and add the precision mechanism. We can just add the precision mechanism, the fully completed one, to the list and make sure it's set to allow. And that will actually allow us to do this without having the item first. So that's something that I've learned a little bit along the way playing with create. We want this pulling out of here, by the way. So let's set this into the filter slot, which goes in here, only able to do that on the brass funnel. So that's why we needed brass. And then we can just simply put an andesite funnel here to accept the items. Now, I do need to get this spinning. So let's get it set up to spin. I tell you what, it is super satisfying when things just work. And right here, this should work. So to get this in, I have my starbuncles running, and they are spinning in the proper direction with the belts right here. Now, all I have to do is add a gearbox, and this belt starts spinning in the right direction. Look at that. And even over here, I put this in, and now this is spinning in the proper direction. Just so satisfying when things just come together and work. Now, what I want to do is temporarily remove this, and I'm going to run a gearbox up to here. Off the back of the starbuncles. Now, it'll be just a regular vertical gearbox, and thankfully in this pack, we don't have an issue where the stress is being used on shafts and belts. So no stress is being used, so we can use as many as we want in our setups. So to get this spinning, well, we can use a belt, technically. That would be kind of the probably the best way to get this done, or there's another block we can use called chain drives. So chain drives are basically belts without being a belt. So they're not going to collect items or anything like that. And if we put them together, it's going to cause all of these to spin. Now, you could also face these against each other. But in this particular setup, it actually works really well just to have an encased drive and then just run the power back. So another simple vertical gearbox just connecting in here. And then this should have enough stress to get this spinning as well. And so now these are ready to work. I almost have everything ready. Just going to cover this hole right here by clicking an andesite casing onto the back. And this is a pretty clean setup for what this is. Now, to test this out, let's get it to work. All we have to do is put the plates in, and this should start working. And there it goes. Just like that. It is slow, but it is working. And all we need is one precision mechanism in this barrel. Once this goes through 5 times. Also, I think I put way too many inside the container. Whoops. Now, I already have a few done, but I almost forgot that, well, scrap gets generated here. And I don't know 100% about what the different scrap is that is generated. So I'm just going to continue to add it once I see it. But it looks like we got one andesite alloy, and it did rotate through here. So we'll just keep rotating through, unfortunately, until we pull it out of that inventory. But I can just add it to the filter once we get that up and rolling. So here's our precision mechanisms. Yeah, they are flowing in now. Look at that. They're all flowing in. Now, we are now out of our components. Once we're out, it's going to stop producing. And so later on, we'll have to have some sort of auto crafting going that just keeps these up and running. I mean, if we really need it. Really, we just need to make sure we have enough to complete those quests. Now, one thing with this precision mechanism is we can't flood this thing. We can't flood it with the gold sheets. So if we flood it with the gold sheets, this storage potentially could become full. Once it is full, well, then we run into the problem of, well, what do we do with all of the remnants, right? What does it do with the storage? You can no longer pull out and put something back in, and so it will jam the whole thing up. So keep in mind that you can only feed it so many. This is a nice starting machine that'll at least get you up and running with precision mechanisms. So let's go ahead and get this whole setup hooked in for the auto crafting, and I'm ready to make this the energy transmitter. This is what I wanted to test out this entire time, and I was super excited about this when I first seen it was in this pack. I was like, that's a really cool idea. And like, I'm pretty sure I've spat that out at some point playing with Create. I'm like, man, I really wish I could just transfer power wirelessly somewhere. So I think all we have to do is add in the precision, some ender. Okay, so I kind of have the recipe memorized. This goes right in the center. Precision mechanisms right here. And then we just use ender pearls. And then once it's ready to go, it's going to start crafting itself all together. This is kind of cool. Like, I do like the animations of the crafter. It's so satisfying. Then once it gets down here, it does like a little spinny thing. Look at that, and completes it. So we are going to need 2, I believe. So let's go ahead and tap into this. Oh boy, that looks funky. It is working, but it may be shaders that's messing with this. So it looks like we can name this. Not quite sure what these buttons do, as it doesn't let me really interact with them. Test. So we're on network 1, we're testing. There's a slot up here, don't know what that does. But if I place this down, notice it is spinning as well. It's spinning. It is literally spinning. Which is funny. Now, let's see. I do have this chunk loaded, so keep in mind, this does need to be chunk loaded for these to work. Let's pop out, and let's see. Does it transfer it to the overworld? I don't know if it's actually spinning or not. Let's hook a shaft up to it. It is not spinning, oddly enough. Man, I was under the assumption that this actually worked cross-dimensionally, and maybe that was the intended idea of this mod, was to have it also work cross-dimensionally, but it only seems to be working in dimension, which is kind of cool in itself, though. It does allow you to have a setup that's kind of compact and allow you to sort of like have this, right? And then separate yourself from this without using a long stretch of shafts, because it does work. It does work. So we have this set to channel 10. I was just testing different things. If I put this to channel 10 and name it the same thing, then it starts to work. So that's pretty cool, right? And it does transfer the power over. I just really thought I was going to be able to set up a really large steam engine and and then have this in the overworld. Like I said, maybe that's an update coming. Who knows? This was honestly just a bonus of today's episode anyways. The main thing was getting those precision mechanisms set up, and that is going to allow us to pretty much complete this entire page within the next few days, and then move on to completing even more, so we're not jammed up by making precision mechanisms. Well, with all of that fun, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you would, be sure to click that subscribe button if you haven't already. We're getting super close to that 600,000 subscriber mark, and I can't do it without you. And guys, well, it's time to thank the supporter of today's video, and that just requires me to pop in here and edit our file system. So let's go ahead and edit the main and add ourselves a new name to the list. Very simply, Divine. Thank you so much for your amazing support, by the way, over on the Discord, becoming a Discord premium member. And I couldn't do it without you guys. I do appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for your amazing support. And guys, of course, if you're interested in becoming a supporter yourself, all you gotta do is go to discord.gg/ChosenArchitect and join the amazing crew over there, or even become a YouTube member here, which is next to the subscribe button if you're interested in that way. All of it links through the Discord. There's even a Patreon if you're familiar with that. So guys, thank you so much. I'll see you guys, of course, in the next episode. And as always, thanks for watching. And this goes here, and this can go here, and then this can go here, and then this can go here, and then this can go here. Yeah, that's this is the right speed.